The Fire Emblem series has always really been interesting to me. I enjoy all of the Fire Emblem games that I've ever played. I've played quite a few of them, and they're always fun games. There's always something that sort of holds it back, in my opinion, though, but I always enjoy myself with Fire Emblem. Now, I recently got Fire Emblem Echoes on the 3DS, and this was sent to me by Nintendo for Nintendo enthusiasts. The review is up over there, and I'll put a link to it in the description. There's also a video review. I'll have that in there as well if you'd rather watch that. This is more going to be just a discussion about how I feel about the game and whether or not I think you should pick it up or not. So without any further ado, let's get into talking about Fire Emblem Echoes. So like I said, there's always something that sort of holds back Fire Emblem games, in my opinion, and I've played a lot of them. I played all the Game Boy Advance ones, I played Awakening on the 3DS, I played the DS one, I don't recall the name of it, the GameCube one, and the Wii one. The only one I haven't played is Fire Emblem Fates, which released on the 3DS, I believe, last year. So I'm pretty familiar with the series, but the one consistent thing I've always noticed in Fire Emblem games that always sort of holds it back a bit is the presentation. You know, the graphics always feel like they were an afterthought. And I understand that Nintendo sort of does that when they're developing games, but it always seems more prevalent in Fire Emblem to me. It always feels like, you know, it's almost like a generation or a half a generation behind for the platform that it was on. I mean, look at the GameCube game, it doesn't look like a traditional GameCube game. So when I booted up Fire Emblem Echoes, I was really surprised. Yeah, there was a card on there. I was really surprised at how much of the game revolves around the presentation. And you know, there's this beautiful opening cutscene that has this Japanese anime style to it. And I'm not a Japanese anime fan or an anime fan in general, but I do like what I saw with this. And voice acting, you know, the game has like full voice acting, which I thought was really cool. The 3D battle animations that you see when you're on the field are really well done. And the game just has a lot of presentation. There's a lot of cutscenes. And they're good cutscenes. They really bring you into the story of the game. The story of the game is cool. I'm not gonna, you know, talk about it too much. What's the point of talking about a story of an RPG when you're supposed to play the story? But the story involves two separate characters, Alm and Celica, who get separated and their paths intertwine. You end up, one of the cool mechanisms of the game is that you end up controlling both of their armies when you get to a certain point in the game. So slight spoiler, but it is one of the, you know, bullet points for the game. And I really like that because it sort of changes up your whole strategy because you have two separate teams with two separate, you know, people on them. So that's really cool. That's one of the things I really liked about the game. But like I said, the presentation really stuck out to me and I really enjoyed what I saw and what I heard, and you know, the voice acting is really well done. And once you get into the meat of the game, it's a strategy RPG game. It's a Fire Emblem game. If you've played a Fire Emblem game, if you've played other strategy RPGs, Ogre Battle, Shining Force 3 on the Saturn, you pretty much know what you're getting into. You know, you move your people around on a grid and you battle. And, you know, it's solid. Like, it's not gonna reinvent the wheel or anything, but it's solid. The gameplay mechanics are very solid. Now, what they did that I thought was pretty cool and something that needs to be further explored, in my opinion, are 3D dungeons. Now, when I first entered the 3D dungeon, I was like, what the hell is this? Now, they're not super pretty. You know, you're not getting, you know, a Legend of Zelda-like dungeon like I say in my review. But what you get is pretty interesting. You basically just explore this dungeon, you look for items, you look for other things, and there are enemies there. Now, this is one of the things I feel that further, if they decide to pursue these 3D dungeons further, something that they can expand upon is the combat in these dungeons, because once you attack an enemy, it goes back to the standard grid turn-based thing. I would love to see more action elements in the Fire Emblem game. If you're just doing these small little 3D dungeons that you're traversing, why not just have a real-time combat system? I mean, obviously Fire Emblem is going to have something like that in the future with Fire Emblem Warriors, which is basically, you know, Hyrule Warriors with Fire Emblem characters. So there's going to be a lot of action coming up with that series. Why not sort of incorporate that into your mainline game? I do kind of feel that was a missed opportunity. I really wish they would have explored. The combat system doesn't have to be, you know, super deep or anything. Just have a basic attack and block, you know? But it did feel like a bit of a missed opportunity, but I did enjoy how it gave a new deviation to the traditional Fire Emblem gameplay, which, you know, if you've played one Fire Emblem game, once you're on the field, you know what to expect. So Fire Emblem Echoes, is it worth it? Should you check it out? Should you pick it up? I say yes. You know, if you're not a fan of strategy RPG games, this isn't the game to change your mind. Make no mistake about it, it is a Fire Emblem game. But in my opinion, out of all the Fire Emblem games I've played, this is the best one because the combat is refined and tight. The presentation is great for a Fire Emblem game and the best, arguably, that I've experienced in the series. And everything is just very well done. In my opinion, it's the best Fire Emblem game. So like I said, if you want sort of a more in-depth review, go check out Nintendo Enthusiast. I'll have a link in the comments section down below and in the description box. But I just wanted to share my thoughts with you guys on this game because I think it's a really good game. And if you're a fan of strategy RPGs, it's definitely one of the best that I've played in recent memory and arguably best Fire Emblem game. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. It's my #1 Fire Emblem game. Let me know if you're looking forward to this game in the comments section down below. Thank you for checking out this video. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe and I'll catch you guys next time. Later.
RGT 85, RGT 85. RGT 85, RGT 85.